You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show.
All right, everyone, refrain from doing the Cotton Eye Joe in Orange County. And welcome to The Real Housewives of Orange County After Show, Episode 6, Season 9, Showdown at The Hoedown. I'm your host, Grant Rudder, and with me, the beautiful...
Hi, everyone. I'm Sterling Cates.
Welcome to the show. And a little bit of a showdown. Can we call it a showdown? I mean, was it a showdown? It was more like a...
It was more a lot of showdowns with people talking behind other people's back. There was never a confrontation, really.
Yeah, I would rather have it be a slap down at the showdown.
I know, seriously.
There was nowhere near that level.
I know. I was really hoping at least Shannon and Heather would confront each other. That would have made it a lot more entertaining, but it is what it is.
This party, which we'll get to, is basically these two characters on the small, not small, but a lot, talking about each other, but with the same people, but they're not interacting at all.
Yeah, that was really funny.
So it was a game of cat and mouse the whole episode.
Right.
But before we get to this party, which I think we have a lot to say about, I want to talk about Vicki and her dealing with her daughter Brianna needing basically to move to Oklahoma because of her husband's position with the Marines.
Right.
And that's just, she doesn't want to buy a house because, she doesn't know where she's going to be. They don't know where they're going to place them and how difficult this is on Vicki. And Vicki, always the control freak.
Vicki's like, I would rather get a root canal than go to Oklahoma with you. It's funny that she thinks Oklahoma is a different country. It's not, it's not that different.
Totally off the beaten path for her. I mean, look at the way that Vicki's lived these last 9 seasons in that big house in Kodo. And that's the total opposite end of the spectrum. I always thought watching this show, because we basically saw Brianna grow up on this show after 9 seasons, that if it ever came to the point where Vicki was perhaps too old maybe for the show, or they were done with her, that they would maybe put her to the side and bring in her daughter.
That's true. Do you think Vicki will ever leave the show? I feel like if Vicki leaves, then that's the show.
Yeah, I don't think she will.
Yeah.
I really don't. She keeps it fresh. She keeps herself relevant. She's never boring.
Right.
I mean, is she like a barrel of laughs every week? Not really. But I mean...
She's kind of a hot mess, which is entertaining.
She delivers.
I don't think Brianna would want to be a part of the show. I just feel like she wants to separate herself from that lifestyle, and I think her family, her husband and her kids are the most important thing to her. Yeah, she doesn't seem to have that personality that Vicki has. That's like, okay, let's get the cameras in, let's do it. You know, she's a little more toned down. I think almost everyone is next to Vicki. Vicki, you can't compare her to anyone else.
Yeah. So I mean, rightfully so. This woman's worried because her grandson and her daughter are going to a place where they just devastated. There was just a devastating tornado.
Yeah.
Where they rebuilt the homes. So what do you think? I mean, I wouldn't be okay with it.
I mean, I think she's nervous because she wants to be close to her grandkids, but also they're moving somewhere that has a lot of tornadoes, and that's scary too.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's no reason she can't visit. I think she's making a way bigger deal.
I just feel bad for her because Vicki's in a place in her life where she really is kind of alone.
Yeah.
And not only does she have her daughter, but her grandson, and they're so far away. It has to sting. No wonder I would be in denial about it too.
Yeah. Well, she always talks about how lonely she gets, and she just likes people being in her house, even if they work at her company. She doesn't really care who it is. So I think it's just she's going to be a lot lonelier, so it's going to be interesting to watch that transition on the show.
Well, someone who has a full house, but it's not even built yet, is Heather, and we might as well get started. So Heather purchased this lot, and I believe I remember from the previous season that the lot itself was $1.2 million.
Yeah, and that's without the house.
Yes, that was just like dirt. Like you're getting dirt and like not even a driveway. And so, you know, I mean, it is a beautiful lot. I mean, of course,
great location.
It would be weird if it was any cheaper given its location in Newport Coast. And so she's in this neighborhood with fellow housewife, Shannon, yes. And so the last week there was like this, and it came up again this week, this like, do we live in the same neighborhood or do we not?
Well, Shannon was like, oh, we're neighbors, we live in the same community. And Heather's like, no, we don't. I think we have like sub communities in our community. Because she wants to be better than everyone else.
Right.
She even said, well, it was really funny when Lizzie said, well, it's obvious. I think I wrote it down, but she said, well, now I know why everyone thinks that Heather's always looking down on people, because she actually is. This property is on the top, the highest hill, looking over everything. Yeah. And Heather definitely, I was like, okay, Heather, we know you're rich. You're building a house. Yeah. I got it.
Oh, we had to hear it over and over again that they're building this house. They want it to be good. They want to celebrate. It's a big moment in their life. It's a big thing. They're building a house. They're building a house. And it's like, okay.
We know.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. They must have just ran out of content around this, because they even went as far to, we had to go to the ER with Timber at the end. So it seemed like they were really pulling. Like we got I think we got like everything. I don't think there was much left besides maybe like some autofocusing that they didn't put in because it was like a mess. It was just so much. So we're on this property, and the theme is a hoedown.
Right.
And you know, she did a good job of dressing her kids up, and everyone looked nice. And she was like in a black sundress or some type of dress. I don't think she looked really.
Yeah, she had the cowboy boots and the hat.
Yeah, they all had to go to the store to buy the boots just for this event.
Yeah, everyone got all dolled up for the country.
I don't like the theme. I wouldn't have a theme like that.
You don't think so?
No,
you just want to do some square dancing and.
No, I'm not into the theme because first of all, they're not in Oklahoma like Brianna. They're in Orange County, and the theme was just off. I mean, you're looking off the beautiful Pacific Ocean. I get you're on a lot,
right?
But I mean, maybe that's a theme that Heather loves. She claims she
space though. You know, it's like just dirt. So I guess a hoedown.
First of all, I don't know if it's really worth celebrating. You know, I mean, it'd be good if you want, like, I would understand if, like, Heather brought, like, her family there and they kind of had, like, a little, like, you know, like toast cheers. Yeah, because it was like a family moment. But to bring a reality show production crew there and not so friendly friends.
Right. Well, I mean, would you expect anything else from Heather and Terry? They are made for each other.
Oh,
the way
yes.
oh my gosh, like when they were puckering each other's lips, and they just love showing off. Because, I mean, if you got it, flaunt it, I guess. But they definitely.
I just didn't like the theme. I wouldn't want to go to anything like that. No, I would, because it's like a Newport Coast, of course.
I feel like every time we host this show together, last time we had the ugly sweater Christmas party.
Yeah.
And and you didn't like that theme
No,
either.
I just think it needs to be something more classy. I mean, they're on this multi-million, it's going to be a multi-million-dollar home on $1 million lot in Orange County, and they're like walking around in the dirt.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I liked the mechanical bull and the dancing and the
that should look fun. I would do that.
They decorated it really well, so I like the theme.
They had like sets and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the theme wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, but everyone looked good, and I think Tamara wins best dressed.
Tamara
I think she looks
amazing.
Good. Yeah.
I loved her shirt. I need that shirt.
Yeah, her and Eddie made a good couple in this episode because they looked good together. Like they just dressed appropriately. I feel like
well, Eddie definitely looked a little. He looked like a stripper. I agreed.
You think so?
I agreed with David when he said that. He did. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so basically everything's going off well. Heather's like showing everything off. The model is there. Everyone's like looking. I feel like the kids were looking at it for the first time.
They were looking at the property?
The little model.
Oh, the model. Oh, yeah.
Which was a little like, okay. I mean, I guess if you're ever gonna show the model at the party that you're gonna have to show the property, you might as well have it there. But it was kind of like,
well, they want it, you know, they want everyone to see it.
Yeah. But what if that's like not your style home? Like, what if I love a chalet style home, and then like, you know, I have to go and kind of be like, oh, that's beautiful. But what if it's not like my thing? Like, I feel like it's just like more phony. Like, you know, it's kind of like that's your family's home.
Well, I'm sure they got a lot of that too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everyone was super jealous of their new home that they're going to have.
Yeah. I mean, I just happen to really like that style, so I'm a little jealous of that house.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if I didn't like the style of that house, the size of it and the property itself is beautiful view and everything. So
yeah, it really is amazing. But
it was funny because Heather and Terry, they're such name droppers that they like when the baseball players were there, they're like, "Oh, we're so cool. We have 2 legendary baseball players here." Like, oh my God, give me a
they
break.
dropped it, like casually dropped it in. I mean, that has to be a well-to-do neighborhood, but I don't know if I don't know. Did they invite the whole neighborhood there, or was it just like just the big names?
Just the big names.
Just the big names.
Just the big names. But so we need to get into Heather and Shannon.
Yeah.
So last week we
had to wait for Shannon to show up first.
Right.
Once she finally got there, then it was on. I'm sure production was glad that she showed up when she did, because nothing was really happening up until that. So Shannon shows up and she's an hour late. And for me, and maybe this is just how I operate.
I mean, you don't go to a party right at the time. It's kind of like an open house. You come and go.
I think there's a buffer of like an hour. Now, I was invited to a party and I was 3 hours late. That was embarrassing. But it was like a neighbor's house. Like, whatever, we're cool. But, I mean, an hour is like, okay.
Right, and she had a valid excuse. Like, she had to make sure the kids were playing, they have their basketball team. Like, Shannon's family life doesn't revolve around Heather.
No.
So that was interesting. And I thought it was interesting also that Heather made such a big deal about Shannon being late, but not a big deal about Vicki being late. Like, she didn't confront Vicki, obviously.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's a good catch. I mean, basically, it was obvious. Even Terry was like making an argument about like, oh, why are your friends late?
Yeah, he did. He took Heather aside and he said, don't you think it's extremely rude that your friends are late to our party? Like, who would dare be late? And they talked about it the whole episode. You heard me when we were watching it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we know they're late. Like, drop it."
I mean, it's like it's noontime on a Saturday. People have more to do than go to the Dubrows dirt lot.
Yeah, seriously.
So I mean, whatever. And so basically, when Heather went over and tapped her on the shoulder and was like, "Oh, you're late." Of course, Heather's always...
She's like, next time, let me know. Like, next time I'm building a house, let me know if you're going to be late.
Yeah. And, of course, Heather had to let us know that she would send a text. She wouldn't be late like that. Right. And I feel like that's very New York of Heather. And of course, people I find in the LA area anyway can be quite flaky. And I feel like Heather's one of those people that if you have to be at a party at 6 o'clock at 5:40, like she's rolling in the driveway.
Right. And Terry was like, people. Well, I'm going to be late to their next party. I was like, that is real mature.
Oh, yeah. That's really going to fix things and make things all level out. Yeah. So we look at Shannon, and she's getting like visibly upset over being spoken to. Yeah, well,
she was crying. She feels really misunderstood about this being thing. But I think it all stemmed from last week's episode with the chair incident when they were arguing about the chair.
See, I feel differently. I feel like something was going on with her and her husband. I feel like there's more to that marriage than we see.
Yeah.
And because she was quick to bring up to Vicki and Tamara that her husband said that they had this basketball game and he couldn't be done until 12:30.
Right.
And then so by the time they got the kids in the car and settled and they drove up the street, maybe they live in the same neighborhood, we don't know.
Right.
And then they got out of the car, it was an extra half hour, which I can understand. But the way she just got so emotionally upset.
That fast.
Yeah. And it had to do more with just, okay, we're an hour late, and Heather was like, called me out about it.
Yeah.
I think there's something more almost like he made them late and she really can't speak the truth. Like, it's not up. It's like, I almost felt like her frustration.
No control over it.
Yeah.
Right.
I almost like her. And of course, her husband wasn't going to step in and say, oh, it was my fault.
Right.
She's just, I feel like she's constantly taking the brunt of everything.
Right.
That's my perspective.
Well, we have seen inside of her marriage a little bit and how there are definitely challenges that they face. They don't spend any time together. He doesn't ever want to take her on dates or anything. And she says she feels lonely in her marriage. So we do know that is a problem already. And it didn't help that he was talking to that girl at the bar at the party and didn't introduce her. And so I feel like he is just pushing all of her buttons, and it's reflecting in her other relationships.
I agree. Yeah. This was more than just her being spoken to, although I can understand having another grown woman come up to you and kind of embarrass you at a table
in front
full
of
people.
everyone. Right. It was. She wanted everyone to know that we were waiting for you to start.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too. Like in the past, like if I was really annoyed with somebody, I would kind of be like, you know, I kind of waited for you. And like, did I really?
Not really.
Not really. But I mean, it's like, you know, it's definitely, you know, I'm not proud of that. But I mean, it's kind of like,
you know, first step is admitting it.
Yeah, but she definitely used that as kind of like, you know, to make herself feel better about like the thing.
Well, that's just so Heather to do. It's like everything needs to be a huge show.
On the flip side, though, I can understand when you and I mean, this is another thing. When I plan a party or something, I always invite the people I really want to see, and I plan it exactly how I want it to be. I know what needs to happen at certain times. I'm very particular like that, and I don't think she's no different. Yeah. And she kind of had a schedule to this party. And in her mind, nobody would be late.
Oh my gosh.
The real world, I mean, you know, even if you're in the same neighborhood. So it's basically, I can see her side too, with like wanting to just everything to go well and perfect. So she's probably planned this and thought about this, and the day is finally here. And nothing's. Well,
she was obviously very excited about it.
Yeah.
She let us know.
A couple times. Yeah.
But this episode, I loved Tamara's commentary throughout it, like her confessional interviews or whatever, and the one when she was talking about how Heather was reacting, she was like, Heather has things planned. She has onion rings coming at a certain time. She has this happening, this happening. Yeah, like how dare you mess up that schedule?
See, I'm that type of person though, so that's why I see it from Heather's side as well.
Right.
I don't know if I would go up to someone's table, like in front of them, and like I probably would just talk about them behind their back.
Well, like they did.
Yeah, I'd probably just be like, oh God, they really were really late. Like that was ridiculous. But I don't know. I can forgive an hour,
right? Especially
when I'm 3 hours late to another party. You know, I mean, I'm not like that. But
yeah, and I mean, they still had the rest of the day of the party. I just did not get why it was such a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really stop anything. The bulldozer still went. The kids still moved during. So, I mean, you know, I like the idea of it, though. Now that I really think about it, like, it really is kind of the idea of the party.
Yeah.
I do like it more than I think about it, but I'm not into the theme. I'm still stuck on that theme.
I like the theme.
Yeah.
Heather, that's the one thing I liked about this, about your party.
Right.
But yeah, so then, what were, did we talk about Shannon? But we did the chair thing. I really want to talk about that because I wasn't here last week. And I want to talk about it.
Sure. Let's talk about this petty chair situation.
Right. Well, I think that has stemmed a lot of the conflict with Heather and Shannon. And that's what I wanted to point out is Heather, I keep getting them mixed up. Heather is so concerned about Shannon being late, but they're not even really friends, you know? And I don't know why it's such a big deal that she's even there in the first place. When they just met, she wants her to be a part of this big thing, but I really just think she wanted to make it dramatic as opposed to, you know, anything else.
That's the thing. It's like, and it's the show and Friends.
Right.
And Shannon is only going to Heather's party because of the show.
Right.
So right there, it's like not even genuine.
Right.
They don't get along. And if there were no cameras there, I don't believe Shannon would be invited.
Right. Well, I don't think there would be a hoedown if the cameras weren't there.
Yeah.
You know?
It was very Housewives for them to do that. Yeah.
And I loved when Heather said, when she's giving her speech on the stage that she had set up already, she said, okay, and here are little notes you can write down well wishes for our family. Yeah. Like, I think that's so funny that you ask people to give you well wishes for your house.
Well, not only that, you're on a show where in a few weeks, you're all going to be hating each other. Do you want this person's wishes buried in the foundation of your home when you're going to be like, you know, screaming at them in 6 weeks?
Right.
It's people that aren't even really your friends.
They're not friends.
Yeah. I wouldn't want, you know, you don't even know. Like, people could be writing one thing and then they could, you know, seal it with a kiss of death.
Seriously. I'm interested to see what those notes say.
Yeah.
When do they read them? That's what I want to know. If they read them on
they
air.
must all say the same thing. Like, congratulations on your new home. You have many happy years. Like, what do you even say? After a while, this is even phony.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, is it like, was it in a jar? I thought they were doing like a time capsule, but it's just like little like a grocery list.
Right. Yeah.
Like piece of paper.
All right. Just put them in a little jar. So let's talk about
the chair. The chair situation.
Yeah. So you have to tell me. So Shannon got up to go to the bathroom, and Heather sat in her chair, and that's what sparked the whole thing.
When they
I was confused about
Yeah,
one person was sitting, and then
when
one
they first
person
got to
went.
the table, when they first got to the table, Shannon wanted to sit in the middle, but Heather kind of already claimed the chair. Vicki told her, "Oh, just let her sit in the chair, because I think Vicki wanted to sit across from her to talk to her." And then so Heather ended up moving, and then when Shannon went to the bathroom, Heather was like, "You know what? I want that chair."
Right.
And it was just like she went and grabbed it, and Shannon came back, and she was not yelling and screaming. They made Shannon look like she was some wild woman
crazy
screaming
person.
around Javier's.
Yeah.
But it was basically she was like, "Okay, I really wanted to sit there, like that was my seat. Like I don't
Right.
understand. I just got up to the bathroom." And then one by one, they all went up to the bathroom and had to talk to each other about the situation, about the chair. And then the remaining people at the table all switched chairs to screw them all up.
Yeah, and Vicky's like, "Are we really arguing about a chair right now? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous."
I was watching this with my roommate last week, and I said, on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, we're watching Kenya Moore be dragged across a floor.
Right.
And on this show, we're watching people argue over where they're going to sit in Javier's.
Obviously.
So, I mean, it just kind of shows the barometer of drama that we're dealing with.
And also that same night, that's kind of when Vicki was really rude to Lizzie for the first time. She couldn't get her name right. She's like, what was she calling her? It was like not Lizzie, but Izzy.
Izzy, yeah,
and like she's Elizabeth, and she was doing it on purpose. But I thought that was really rude.
Yeah,
you know, you don't.
It's the first time you meet somebody and you can't. I mean, names are so important.
Right. And then at Heather's party at the Hoedown, she goes up to Lizzie and says, "Oh, great to meet you."
Yeah.
Like 3 times. Obviously, they had dinner the night before, whenever that was.
Yeah, I mean, is that shade, or is that just, I don't know. That's Vicki being Vicki.
That's just her being rude.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really like Lizzie. I don't think that she's bringing as much drama as we thought. It's really just Vicki reacting to her, but I think Lizzie's pretty funny. She's smart. I really like her so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think of Lizzie and Vicki? Do you think this is the beginning of a bunch of craziness between them, or are they going to be cool? Tell us, let us know on iTunes and YouTube. Please rate and comment us. Give us 5 stars. We love our show. We love that you are so involved with listening and the comments. And we do read them all. And so keep coming. Thank you. So the party, this long party of just like people in cowboy hats. I mean, I wanted something more glamorous.
Yeah. Well, they brought up the onion ring so many times.
It's dead. The joke is dead. It's over. It's
Heather
over.
is feeding Terry the onion rings. And then every time she comes back to the table, "I got you some more onion rings." We know there are onion rings there.
The joke is dead. She denied him of onion rings last season, and she's planned them to be at the party. She showed them. They're on hooks.
And then
they're behind her. She's feeding them.
We even got to see the commentary from everyone else talking about how good they are.
Yeah, okay. Please, that's it. We don't need to see them at any more events.
Right. And then we see Vicki apologizing to Lizzie. Do you think she meant her apology, or do you think she was being sarcastic about it?
Well, in Vicki's eyes, they cleared the air and they started over.
And Lizzie's like, "I don't believe in this."
She didn't really, because it was still phony.
Well, then at dinner, so in the last episode at dinner, she asked Lizzie about her ethnicity, and she was describing how she's mainly Italian, but her dad is like part, yeah. And Vicki's like, "Oh, aren't you Mexican?" And like she was doing that on purpose, and that's just really rude that she keeps like shooting at Lizzie, and Lizzie's like, "Are you kidding me?"
And Vicki's someone who always every season was like, "I don't like to have relationships with girls. I only get along with guys. I'm a guy's girl."
Yeah,
and so
but
she's
here
the
you are on
first
Real
one to
Housewives.
like be like, like testing the waters and like testing out where people's buttons are.
Yeah.
She's the first one to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't want any of these women to get along because I want to enjoy the show. So I'm okay with it.
I like that Lizzie stood her ground, because
Yeah.
you see a lot of, on this show compared to other Real Housewives, you see people talking behind each other's backs more as opposed to confrontational. So I really liked that Lizzie actually stood her ground and didn't back down to Vicki.
You know who's underwhelming on the show is this Danielle character.
Yeah, who is that?
She's a friend of the Housewives.
Yeah.
But it seems that in these last 2 episodes, they've been trying to like make her like more of. I believe they were maybe trying to add her to the Housewives,
Right.
and she probably didn't have
Well,
enough
her
content.
and Lizzie are really good friends, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they've clicked through the phone. I don't know. Maybe they do have a history. I'm guessing, but. I mean, she's like, okay, but she doesn't really bring anything. And they like went up to her like, "Oh, how's the party going?" And she's like, "Oh, it's it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she really didn't
She's like not contributing anything.
Yeah, I think they were trying to pull her in. They said when they cast these shows, they try to like cast organically of people that are in those circles. So she seemed to have been in that circle. So she's there, but she's not really contributing. It'll be interesting to see how much longer we're gonna have to look at her because I don't know what's going on.
I think it might fizzle out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even notice her.
I mean,
really.
she was at that ugly sweater party, but
yeah.
I mean,
wasn't it her ugly sweater party?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that
she
was
has
it.
the husband that we were
the questionable. Yeah. Yes.
Right. So while Vicki is talking to Heather and Tamara about Shannon while Shannon's 5 feet away.
Which time was this?
Right. Well, Heather is explaining her side of the situation and Vicki starts snoring.
Yep.
If someone did that to me, I would be so pissed.
It is. It completely delegitimizes your whole like argument and conversation. It's so it really is rude.
Yeah.
It really is. But that's what Vicki wants to do. She wants to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's stupid. Who cares? And so that's it.
Well, so since she won't listen to Heather, Heather goes and talks to Terry about it, and she looks like she's about to start crying about the tension between her and Shannon. I don't get why she cares so much.
Well, Shannon was really smart because she said, I don't want to be the one that came to this party late and ruined it. So I'm just like completely
stay over here by the bar.
Yeah. And I mean, I really kind of felt for her. Like I mentioned to you, like I feel like I've been in that situation at a party before where it's kind of like there's been like a maybe there's someone there I don't really want to see, or there's been like some tension and I like probably should leave, but if I left it would look really bad. Right. So it's kind of like, okay, just make the most of it at this point and just kind of stay in the back. But it's again, it's just strange. They're both on this lot, but they never like crossed paths or like ran into each other or like talked.
Yeah.
They're there.
They never talked.
They're there saying, oh, like to each other housewives, like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this. But they're like, meanwhile, they're like back to back.
Yeah.
It's like, just turn around.
I agree with Shannon that that party wasn't the time or the place to bring it up. They need to hash it out another time because this is not the place.
Right.
And I liked when they were all dancing and Lizzie said, you know what I love about dancing is that no one's talking.
Yep. And it's still so early. I mean, we are on 6, but I feel like we are getting such a slow burn with this drama.
Right.
And just they're like turning it up like a notch every week.
Yeah.
But it's still like, it's not boiling. It's not really even barely simmering at this point.
Right. Well, I think in the future there will be a confrontation between Shannon and Heather, which I think is going to be really hard for me to watch just because I can't listen to Heather for that long. She's my least favorite one.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely opinionated in every sense. And, this party was so her. She was living for this party.
Yeah, that was all about her, and she loved it. But I loved how she tried to make it about her family and everything, but it was really her. Yeah. And I feel like Terry's the same way, that they love that attention. So, there's that.
Yeah, so Shannon, there's not much came of that. That was pretty much it for the
I feel bad for Shannon. Like, I feel that she's so fragile that it's going to break really easy. Because even Heather coming, and even though Heather is like, Heather, and she's just saying, I don't appreciate the fact that you were late, that tears Shannon apart, So I really think there's stuff going on there that...
Yeah, I think there's a lot in her personal life, and she's probably trying to do this show to be fun and to give herself something to do. And I think Shannon really fits right in, and I think she's great in her one-on-ones.
Right.
I mean, she really, I think she like hit the ground running, and I enjoy
good advice,
her. Yeah.
When they need help. And
stuff. She's a good addition to that show, and I feel like I haven't really had to like digest her into the look at her into the canvas like I have with Lizzie. I don't know her that well yet, but I feel like, all right, Shannon, she's in, and this is only episode 6, so I'm totally cool with her being there. It works.
I wonder if, I don't think Shannon doesn't like Heather. I think she's intimidated by Heather, and she doesn't want to upset Heather is probably why she's not approaching her.
Right.
Because I think she wants everyone to like her.
Mm-hmm.
And when Heather was saying Shannon doesn't like me, I don't have a problem with Shannon, she doesn't like me, I don't think that's true. I think it's Heather who's being protective, I guess, of her friends.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, Heather didn't have to say, like, we were waiting for you.
Right. Well, Heather doesn't love that Shannon is good friends with Vicki and Tamara. She made that very clear.
True. Yeah, Shannon made it really easy, where in the past, Heather it took her some time to get in with those two.
Right.
Because they're so tight.
Yeah, and Shannon just kind of slid in there really easily.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so the mechanical bull, should we talk about that?
Yeah, let's get into that mechanical bull. I would do that, but I think Heather, you looked like an ass. I really do.
Yeah.
I think she looked like an ass for what she did when Tamara got on the bull. And Tamara thought the guy, the operator.
Well, we all heard Heather do it. Ask him to turn the bull up, and then she was over there by the controls.
Yeah, she was at the controls. There was no bull operator there. She was doing it, and she even said, like, yeah, all the way, all the way.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So we all heard that, and now when Tamara sees that episode, she's going to be really upset when she realizes.
Yeah, because Tamara fell off so violently, and she even said, like, you got to fire that guy. And it was, and Heather, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe it was an editing thing, but I feel like Heather should have been like I'm so obviously truth is gonna come out. And didn't Eddie see all this?
Well, Eddie said he didn't see it, but I don't know. He said that when they were walking out. Tamara was like, "Did he do that on purpose?" And he was like, "I don't know. I don't think so."
That's weird. Well, it's gonna come out because it's on national television.
Right.
So like, but I'm sure now it's just water under the bridge with those two.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the end of the day, with Heather's relationship in regards to Tamara and Vicki, they're just friends. And I don't think that really anything is really gonna, the drama and all this is really gonna ever destroy that. I think, Heather will have problems relationship wise with everybody else, but I think those three are always gonna be cool, and they kind of laugh on Twitter at different things. And like the conversation that Tamara had with Heather not too long ago, where she was like, you're always right, you're always right. Like they had like went back and forth and were like, oh, that was a fun kind of like moment, a tense moment between us. Yeah. So like they kind of laugh at it. But the new women will be interesting to see. So Tamara got her X-ray.
Oh yeah, so she rushes to the emergency room because she thinks her arm's broken, but it's obviously not broken if you're not crying. Yeah. She's kind of laughing.
Right. I mean, she really did fall off that thing kind of harshly.
Yeah, that was a hard fall for real. And it was funny that they immediately wrapped it up, and she's freaking out, and then they just rush her to the ER.
Yeah. And that was it. And that was it.
That was it.
What else is there to cover with this?
Not much, but they were leading it. Yeah, it was just the hoedown. Yeah, Showdown at the Hoedown.
So let's get into predictions.
Okay.
Let's do it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'll go to you first if you have your thoughts.
Okay. So we saw for the promo for next week, I really want to see Heather and Shannon have an actual talk face to face and not behind each other's backs.
Yeah.
And I want to get to know Lizzie more. I really like her.
Yeah, I think
she's fresh and I think she's fun. And I like that she doesn't. I know you want to see a lot of drama, but I like that she keeps it real. You know, and she stands her ground. I like that.
I'm still kind of missing Gretchen on this show.
You are?
A little bit.
I am.
I didn't love her. I didn't love her, but I just kind of feel like, okay, the only one that's really gonna bring it is Heather, and that's just obnoxious. Right. So we need a little bit more of a different like flavor here. Yeah. But I'm kind of curious to see what Heather and Lizzie are gonna talk about. It looks like they're having some type of like play date. Yeah. So I'm sure they're just gonna talk about Shannon, but hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully we can like get something else going. I'm curious to see what like the next big project is coming up. Because we heard about this party that the groundbreaking previously, and then we saw it this week. So I'm curious what's coming up. I read in the press that they are going to be taking a trip to South Asia. So usually those trips are where always things get crazy.
Yeah, Vicki made a statement about how the trips bring out all the drama. So
right, yeah, and I'm like, I always think it's better when the husbands are there. Yeah, I just think it adds so much more, and the husbands always like try to stay out of it, but they amp it up. They amp it up.
I love watching the Real Housewives. The ladies interact with the husbands that aren't their husbands, like Vicki and David taking shots together, and then Tamara defending herself against Terry. Like I love those relationships.
I feel bad for Shannon because she was left out in the previous week of a shot. She was supposed to have a shot or at Javier's, and they miscounted. She didn't get one. Then this week, they didn't they didn't include her. Yeah, and so I kind of like relate to her in a way. Like I feel like I'm sometimes that person where I'm kind of like, wait, like.
I feel like she's overlooked a lot.
Yeah, I kind of relate to her in a way. But like the way she felt at the party, so uncomfortable, and like she was going there to have a good time, and then she was called out in front of people, and she didn't get her shot. Like, yeah, I feel like her. Yeah, I can relate to you. Yeah,
I like Shannon, but I think Lizzie's might be my favorite.
Yeah,
well, that's not true. Tamara's my favorite. I like Tamara.
Yeah. So. Well, that does it for my predictions. So I think we're good.
Well, and the last part is I want to see Vicki in Oklahoma. I think that's going to be really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So out of her habitat.
And it looks like in one of the previews that there's like a tornado warning or something. So of course there is. Yeah. So, and of course Vicki wilds out and goes crazy.
Yeah.
So well, I think that'll just about do it for us for the Real Housewives of Orange County, episode 6, Showdown at the Hoedown. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at GrantMichaelR. And where can we find you?
You can find me at Sterling Cates on Twitter and Instagram.
Great. Thank you for listening.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.